Hello, First Methodist Church family. I'm Leanne Holland, and I am the Interim Director of Children's Ministries here at our church. I am so thankful today to be able to bring you a good word. My earliest memories of church go as far back as to when I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I would stay with my grandparents. They lived in the small town of Fort Deposit, Alabama. Their house was right across the street from the First Methodist Church. When I would stay with them on weekends, my granddaddy, I called him Pa, would wake me up early to go across the street with him to ring the church bell. That was something he did each week because he lived just right across the street. Pa would let me help him pull the long, thick rope attached to the church bell. The bell was so heavy when I pulled on it that the rope would snatch me up off the floor. My granddaddy would catch me in the air and help me back down to the floor. I loved doing this with him when I was visiting. Paul would always say to me while we were ringing the church bell, "Leanne, we've got to let everyone know it's Sunday and it's almost church time." The two of us would walk back across the street and get ready for church. Then my grandmother, I called her Granny, would walk with Paul and I back across the street to church to go to Sunday school. My Granny was my Sunday school teacher. I can remember singing songs in her Sunday school room while one of her friends played the piano, and we sang songs like Deep and Wide and the Bible, and then we would sit in little tiny wooden chairs and listen to my Granny read from the Bible. She would use flannel board characters to tell her stories, and I loved that. One of the very first stories that she ever taught me was "Here's the Church." She would help me fold my tiny little hands, and we would say together, "Here's the church. Here's the steeple, open the doors, and there are the people." Well, fast forward to several weeks ago, and I was browsing through Dove Christian Supply Bookstore here in town, and I ran across a book. You all know that school teachers love books. One reason we love them is because they can convey beautiful messages in simple ways. I found this book called "This is the Church" by Sarah Covington. If you don't mind, this old retired school teacher would love to read the story to you. There is a little rhyme that children say, a song they sing sometimes when they play. This rhyme is about God's family. To do it, just move your hands like me. Here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors and see all the people. What a great rhyme, isn't it neat? But wait, this story's not yet complete. There's more to the church than just those 2 lines. To learn about God's family, let's add to the rhyme. Some churches are so big and wide, 10,000 people can fit inside. Other churches are really quite small. They fit just a few people, and that is all. Some people have church right where they are, right in their house. That's not very far. And not all churches have roofs or floors. Some don't have steeples, and some don't have doors. Some people have church under the stars, and God comes and meets them right where they are. And in places where it's not safe to be found, some people even have church underground. And church isn't something that stands still, you know. The church follows God's people wherever they go. The church moves in buses and planes and cars. To share God's love, the church has to go far. The church works among the sick, hungry, and poor, with people in need wherever they are. It's gone to cities, it's gone to towns, to school and to work. Church gets around. But how does this work? How can this be? Can a church really move like you and me? That's a secret. It certainly can. Church moves through your feet. It works through your hands. The people are the church, don't you see? The church is a word for God's family. Because Jesus said, when there are 2 or 3 who gather in my name, that's where I'll be. So let's go back to the old rhyme now. Get your hands ready. We'll show you how. Here is a building. It may have a steeple, but where is the church? The church is the people. On this day, the church welcomes you. You're part of God's people. You're the church too. So from my grandmother's sweet little childhood story to this children's book called "This is the Church," to you, let's all remember that we are the church. In 1 Timothy 5, Paul describes the church as people dedicated to doing whatever it takes to reach out and help others. As the church, we have a responsibility to serve and help others in need. Caring for one another as well as others is the quickest way to see Jesus save lives. I have a challenge for you. Find one thing you can do to serve another person this week. Be the church.